Have you ever stopped to think about why you act so differently from other people? Why you prefer to be alone when everyone else seeks crowds? Why you sometimes can't even explain your own reaction to simple situations? Why it seems like there's an invisible weight that no one else can see, but you feel with every breath? I'm going to tell you something that will make everything fall into place right now. You don't act this way because it's difficult. You don't act this way because it's strange. You don't act this way because you chose to be different. You act this way because your soul is exhausted, tired, overburdened with carrying so much pain that wasn't even yours to begin with. While others live on the surface of life, experiencing basic emotions and common situations, you were designed to feel in layers, to absorb, to process, to carry what others can't even see. And that comes at a price your soul has been paying for a long time. Today, what was hidden will be revealed. You will finally understand why your body reacts that way, why your mind always seems on high alert, why your heart has closed in a way that even you can no longer open it. Before we continue, I need you to do something for yourself right now. Like this video, because that will help this message reach other chosen ones who are also exhausted and need to hear this. Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell, because in the next few days, I will reveal exactly what happens when your soul finally rests. And go to the pinned comment right now to join our exclusive Telegram community, where the chosen ones connect and share their journeys without judgment. And leave a comment telling us about the heaviest pain you've ever carried. The one no one saw, but that almost destroyed you inside. Write it down, release that weight, because there are other chosen ones reading this who will understand exactly what you've been through. Now come with me, because what you're about to discover in the next few minutes will completely change the way you see yourself. Let me tell you a truth that few dare to speak. There's a huge difference between being physically tired and being tired in your soul. When your body's tired, you sleep and wake up feeling better. When your soul is tired, you can sleep for days on end and still wake up exhausted. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. This exhaustion you feel didn't appear out of nowhere. It was built up over years. Over situations that broke you inside while you maintained your composure on the outside. Over betrayals that cut you deep while you still offered forgiveness. Over moments when you absorbed the pain of others as if it were your responsibility to heal the entire world. You were the person who was always there, who always listened, who always welcomed, who always gave another chance, who always believed. And each time you did that, your soul carried a little more sadness that wasn't yours, a little more anger that you absorbed from someone else, a little more abandonment that you felt even when surrounded by people. But here's what nobody has told you until now. You were designed for this. You were chosen to feel more deeply, to process emotions at levels that most people can't even access. You are like an emotional and energetic sponge, and for a long time, everyone around you used that without even realizing it. They projected their pain onto you. They unloaded their frustrations. They projected their shadows. And you, being who you are, absorbed it all, thinking it was your job to carry it. And you know what happened? Your soul began to scream inside. It began to cry for help in a way you couldn't always understand. And that's when your behavior changed. That's when you started acting in ways that people call strange, cold, distant. But the truth is, you didn't become cold. You became protective of your own essence. Wait, stay with me here, because this is crucial for you to understand. When your soul is overwhelmed, it activates defense mechanisms. It makes you avoid people. It makes you build walls. It makes you seem uninterested, even when you still care deeply. It makes you cancel appointments at the last minute. It makes you disappear for days. It makes you respond with monosyllables even when you want to say so much. And people judge. They call you selfish. They accuse you of being distant. But what they don't see is that you are just trying to survive the weight you carry. Now pay close attention to what comes next, because what you're about to hear is not just a spiritual warning, it is a decree concerning your life. For a long time you've felt wronged. You've carried too much weight. You've endured attacks you never deserved. You've seen people rise up against you, but what they didn't know is that you're marked. Marked for victory, marked for rising, marked for being seen at the perfect time, and that time is beginning now. What I'm going to give you today are 3 powerful spiritual books created for those entering the phase of divine justice, emotional rebirth, and awakening of power. These books weren't written for those who are still asleep. They're for those who already feel the movement happening, enemies falling of their own accord, cycles ending, and doors that were once locked finally beginning to open. And with each book, you'll receive 2 secret bonuses, in-depth content that I've never revealed here on the channel. In total, 9 sacred materials prepared to accelerate everything that's already written about you, the collapse of your enemies, the recovery of what you lost, your spiritual rebirth, and your triumphant return, stronger, wiser, and absolutely untouchable. But listen to this seriously. This access is extremely limited, not because I want it that way, but because certain revelations cannot be available to everyone, only to those who are truly ready for what is to come. And if you're listening to this and feeling your chest race, your body shiver, your soul respond, that's not emotion, that's confirmation. Something is prepared for you and it's very close. So don't ignore this sign now. In the first pinned comment, join this journey before access is taken away. Remember, divine justice never fails. The downfall of your enemies is inevitable, and your triumphant return has already begun. The only question is, will you join this movement, or will you watch it happen without you? Now come with me, because I need to show you exactly how this overload happened. You need to understand one thing: the pain you carry didn't start yesterday. It started way back, when you were still a child and already noticed things that nobody else saw. When you could already feel the emotional climate of a room before anyone even said anything. When you already knew something was wrong, even though everyone was pretending everything was fine. You grew up being the kind of person who could read between the lines, who could sense when someone was lying, who could see through social masks, who could perceive hidden intentions, and that isolated you from an early age. Because while others lived in the innocence of the surface, you were already immersed in the depths of human truth. And truth hurts. Truth weighs heavily. Truth is exhausting. Then came the relationships, the friendships, the loves, the connections you believed to be true. And each one taught you something, but also took a piece of you. Each betrayal showed you that trusting is a risk. Each abandonment taught you that people leave. Each heartbreak proved to you that expectations hurt, and your soul recorded all of that. And here is the first big revelation that will change everything for you. The weariness of your soul is not weakness. It's spiritual overload from carrying pains that weren't yours to begin with. You were designed to be a transmuter of energy, to take the pain, process it, and transform it into something lighter. But no one taught you how to do this without destroying yourself in the process. So you just absorbed, until your soul said, enough. But there's more, much more. You not only carried the pain of others, you carried your own pain in an amplified way, because the chosen ones feel everything at maximum volume. A decapitation for you is not just a decapitation, it's an internal earthquake. A betrayal for you is not just a betrayal, it's a collapse of your faith in humanity. A loss for you is not just a loss, it's a grief that transcends dimensions. And while you were feeling all of that, life kept demanding that you function, that you work, that you smile, that you be strong, that you don't fall apart. Because the world has no patience for those who feel too much. The world wants you to be productive, functional, available, and you tried. You tried so hard that you almost got lost along the way. Now pay attention to this, because this part explains a lot. Your weary soul began to change your behavior in specific ways. You started avoiding deep conversations because you no longer have the energy to delve into anyone's pain. You started preferring to be alone because silence demands nothing of you. You started canceling plans because the idea of pretending to be okay is too exhausting. You started distancing yourself from people you love because even love, when misdirected, drains you. And people didn't understand. They called you changed, cold, selfish. They said you're not who you used to be. And they're right. You're not anymore. Because you can't be. Because that version of you that gave everything, that erased yourself, that carried the world on your shoulders, that version almost died of exhaustion. But that's where most people go wrong in judging you. They see your change as something negative, as if you've gotten worse. But the truth is, you've evolved. You've learned in the most painful way possible that you can't save everyone, that you can't be everything to everyone, that you can't completely empty yourself for others and still have something left of you. What if I told you that this tiredness has a purpose? That this exhaustion was necessary to teach you limits? That all this pain was the price of your awakening? You are in a process of recalibration. Your soul is forcing you to stop, to look inward, to recognize that you are worth as much as anyone you have ever helped, that your energy is sacred, that your time is precious, that your peace is non-negotiable. But here comes the part that will change everything for you. In the next few blocks, I'll show you exactly what happens now, because this tiredness isn't the end. It's the transition. It's the moment before your soul is reborn stronger, more protected, and absolutely untouchable. Before we continue, leave a comment. What was the most difficult moment you experienced while carrying so much pain? That moment that almost completely broke you? Write it down. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because the next videos will guide you through exactly this renewal phase. And the link to Telegram and the books is in the pinned comment. Go there now. Now come with me to the next level of this revelation. There's a scene you've probably experienced. You're in a place full of people. Laughter all around, conversations flowing, music playing, everyone seems happy and connected, and you're there, physically present, but completely absent inside, feeling as if there's an invisible glass separating you from the rest of the world, as if you were watching life happen but couldn't really participate. And at that moment, that thought hits me. Something is wrong with me, but I'm going to tell you something that will turn your perspective upside down right now. There's nothing wrong with you. What's happening is that your frequency has changed. You can no longer vibrate in shallow spaces. Your soul, after so much processing, so much feeling, so much carrying, has evolved to a different frequency. And at this frequency, superficial conversations don't nourish you. Noisy environments drain you. People who live behind masks tire you just by looking at them. You're not antisocial. You're energy selective. And that's not a flaw. It's a protective mechanism. Now let me take you deeper, because the truth is that this weariness of your soul is connected to something much bigger than you imagine. You weren't chosen to have an easy life. You were chosen to have a meaningful life. And meaning comes with weight. It comes with responsibility. It comes with trials that most people will never face. You were tested in brutal ways. You lost people you swore you'd never lose. You trusted those who betrayed you behind your back. You loved those who abandoned you at the worst possible moment. You gave opportunities to those who didn't deserve even the first one. And each of these experiences wasn't punishment. It was training. Training for what? For what comes next. And here is the second revelation that will completely change how you view your journey. Your strange behaviors are protective mechanisms of a soul that has already seen and felt too much. Every time you disappear for days, it's your soul asking for space to reorganize itself. Every time you avoid commitments, it's your energy telling you that it will cost you more than you can afford right now. Every time you distance yourself from someone without explanation, It's your intuition protecting you from something your mind hasn't yet been able to logically process. You're not being difficult, you're being wise. Your soul learned to protect itself because no one else did it for you. It created barriers because people invaded your emotional space without permission. It isolated you because groups drained you without reciprocity. And you know what that means? It means you're finally prioritizing yourself, even if it hurts, even if people don't understand, even if they judge you. You're doing what you should have done a long time ago, choosing your peace over the approval of others. But wait, because it's about to get even better. While you were withdrawing, retreating, protecting yourself, something powerful was happening behind the scenes of your life. The people who hurt you began to reap exactly what they sowed. Those who betrayed you began to be betrayed. Those who abandoned you began to taste abandonment. Those who laughed at your pain began to live through their own storms. And you didn't even need to do anything. You didn't even need to take revenge. You didn't even need to prove your worth. Because there's a universal law that never fails. What goes around comes around. And everything they did against you is coming back to them multiplied. This isn't malice on your part to wish for it. It's divine justice at work. It's the universe rebalancing the scales. It's confirmation that you've always been protected, even when it seemed you were alone. But here comes the most important part. The third and biggest revelation. You are about to enter the release phase, where the weight you have carried for so long will finally be lifted, where your energy will be restored in ways you can't even imagine, where everything that was taken from you will begin to return, but transformed, purified, aligned with who you have become. This phase doesn't come with long warnings, it simply arrives. And when it arrives, everything changes rapidly. Doors that were locked open. The right people appear out of nowhere. Opportunities arise in quick succession. Your health improves, your sleep becomes deeper, your energy returns, and for the first time in a long time, you feel hope again. But to enter this phase, you need to do one thing. You need to let go. Let go of the guilt of no longer being who you were. Let go of the anger towards those who hurt you. Let go of the need for people to understand your journey, because as long as you hold on to the past, the future can't enter. And this letting go isn't about forgiving those who don't deserve it. It's about freeing up the emotional space that these people and situations still occupy within you. It's about saying, this no longer defines me. I learned, I survived, and now I move on. Do you notice the change that's happening? Do you feel that something different is in the air? Then stay with me, because in the next few segments, I'm going to show you the exact signs that this liberation has already begun in your life. Now let's get straight to the point. I'm going to show you exactly how to identify that your soul is in the process of recovery and that the liberation phase is already beginning. Pay attention, because if 3 or more of these signs are appearing in your life, it means you've already entered this new phase. First sign, you've started to feel less guilty about saying no. Before, every no you gave was accompanied by a horrible feeling of disappointing someone. You over-explained yourself, you justified yourself, you almost apologized for having limits. But now you say no, period. No long explanations, no guilt gnawing at you from the inside, because your soul has finally understood that no is the most powerful answer there is. Second sign, you've lost interest in proving your worth to those who devalued you. There was a time when you wanted those people to see how wrong they were. You wanted them to acknowledge everything you did. You wanted them to miss you. But today, it doesn't matter. You don't waste time thinking about them. You don't stalk them on social media. You don't imagine scenarios of reunions. Because your energy has finally disconnected from those frequencies. Third sign, silence has ceased to be lonely and has become sacred. You are no longer desperate to fill the void with any company. You no longer turn on the television just to make noise. You no longer seek superficial conversations just to avoid feeling alone. Because you have discovered that there is a huge difference between loneliness and solitude. And in solitude, you can finally hear yourself again. Fourth sign, your body is reacting differently. Perhaps you've noticed that pains that have accompanied you for years have begun to decrease without medical explanation. Or that your sleep, even if still restless, has moments of depth that you haven't felt in a long time. Or that your appetite has returned. Or that your desire to take care of yourself has resurfaced out of nowhere. This is not a coincidence. It's your soul signaling that the weight is being lifted. Fifth sign, certain people started disappearing from your life without drama. There was no fight. There was no argument. It simply cooled off. The contact disappeared. And the most interesting thing, you didn't miss them. Because your frequency changed and these people simply can no longer access your energy. They were energetically removed from your life to make room for what's to come. But here's what nobody tells you about this phase. When you enter this process of letting go, not everything will seem beautiful at first. There's a transition period where you'll feel a bit lost because you're no longer who you were, but you're not yet fully who you're becoming. It's kind of like being between two worlds, one foot in the past that no longer fits you, and the other foot in the future that hasn't fully arrived yet. In the meantime, you may feel confused about what you want. You may question decisions. You may have days of total clarity and days of mental fog, and that's normal. It's expected. It's part of the process of recalibrating your soul. Let me give you a practical example of how this manifests in everyday life. You wake up one day feeling like everything is finally okay. You have energy. You have plans. You have enthusiasm. Then the next day, you wake up not wanting to get out of bed, unable to explain what has changed, and you start berating yourself. Why am I like this again? I thought I was getting better. But listen to this carefully. This is not regression, it's integration. Your soul is processing in waves. One day it releases some of the weight. Another day it rests from the process. And so it goes in cycles until one day you wake up and realize that the good days have begun to outweigh the heavy days. And then you know, I'm leaving. Sixth sign, you've started receiving unexpected confirmations. It could be a message from someone you haven't spoken to in a long time, saying exactly what you needed to hear. It could be a video that suddenly appears in your feed with a message that seems to have been made for you. It could be a random conversation on the street where someone says something that answers a question you've been thinking about. The universe is starting to show you that you're on the right track. Seventh sign, your tolerance for heavy energy has completely dropped to zero. Before, you could even tolerate being in dense environments. You even put up with toxic people out of politeness. You even swallowed insults to maintain peace. But now your body reacts physically. You feel a tightness in your chest. You get an instant headache. You have an uncontrollable urge to leave because your soul no longer accepts being placed in spaces that drain its frequency. Eighth sign, you've begun to feel a strange restlessness, as if something big is about to happen, but you don't know exactly what. There's a sense of expectation in the air, that your life is about to change direction. And this feeling isn't anxiety. It's an announcement. It's your soul sensing that divine timing is arriving. If you identified with most of these signs, I'm going to tell you something you need to hear. You're closer than you think. The liberation phase isn't something that's going to arrive. It's already here, and you're already in it. Now you just have to continue trusting the process, even when it doesn't make logical sense. In the next few sections, I'm going to show you exactly what to do now that you know all this. Because information without action doesn't transform anything, and you didn't come this far to stay still. Let me ask you something straight up. How many times have you blamed yourself for not being who you used to be? How many times have you reprimanded yourself for no longer having patience with things you used to tolerate? How many times have you felt guilty for disappointing people who expected a version of you that no longer exists? I know. I know because this is one of the biggest traps that chosen people fall into. We think that evolving is wrong when this evolution distances us from people or situations that were once part of our lives. We feel bad for having changed, for no longer being able to pretend, for no longer fitting into spaces that we used to support. But I need you to understand something vital right now, something that will release a guilt you carry without even realizing it. You are not obligated to remain the same person forever just because people have become accustomed to that version of you. Let me repeat this, because it's incredibly liberating. You're not obligated to remain the same person forever just because people have become accustomed to that version of you. Did people like who you were? Great. But that version cost you your peace. That version drained you to the limit. That version almost killed you from exhaustion. So no, you're not going back to being that just to please those who didn't support you when you were falling apart. And here comes a hard but necessary truth. Most people who complain that you've changed don't want you back out of love. They want you back out of convenience. Because the old version of you served them, solved their problems, carried their burdens, and now that you don't do that anymore, they feel lost. But that's not your problem to solve. You've already sacrificed too much. You've already negated too much of yourself. You've already carried too much. Now it's time for integration. And integration means accepting that you are all the versions you've ever been, and at the same time, none of them completely. You are the sum of your pains transformed into wisdom, of your falls transformed into strength, of your losses transformed into sacred detachment. But let me tell you about something that almost no one mentions in this process. The loneliness that comes before the arrival of the right people. Because when you change your frequency, you go through a period of social emptiness. Old friendships sense. Old environments no longer suit you. Old conversations bore you. And you're left there, alone, wondering, will I be like this forever? No, you won't. But this period of solitude is necessary because it cleanses your energy field. It removes incompatible frequencies. It makes space for new connections aligned with who you are now to enter. And when these people arrive, you will know the difference because they won't drain you. They will add to you because they won't demand that you be small. They will celebrate your greatness. But until then, you need to make peace with your solitude. You need to understand that being alone doesn't mean being abandoned. It means reorganizing yourself. It means preparing yourself. It means being protected from connections that would hinder you at this moment. And there's more, much more. Your weary soul is teaching you something you'll only appreciate years from now. It's teaching you that you are enough on your own, that you don't need external validation to know your worth, that you don't need an audience to prove your greatness, that you don't need witnesses for your journey to be real. This is power. This is liberation. This is what separates the chosen ones from ordinary people. Ordinary people depend on the gaze of others to feel alive. The chosen ones learn to sustain themselves through their own recognition. And when you reach that level, nothing shakes you like it used to. Let me show you how this plays out in practice. Someone criticizes you. Before, this would destroy you for days. You would replay the criticism 1,000 times in your head. You would question yourself. You would demand more of yourself. You would try to change to fit in. But now you listen, process it in 2 seconds, and discard it, because you know that the opinion of someone who doesn't live your life has no power over you. Someone abandons you. Before, that would have broken you. You would have chased after them, begged for explanations, blamed yourself, but now you let go, because you understood that whoever is meant to stay, stays, and whoever leaves makes room. Someone betrays you. Before, this would embitter you for years. You would plan revenge. You would nurture anger. You would relive the story trying to understand where you went wrong. But now, Now you simply observe divine justice at work, because you know that the universe takes care of what is yours. And what isn't goes away naturally. Do you realize the level of emotional and spiritual maturity you've reached through all this pain? Do you realize that this exhaustion of your soul was the price of your evolution? Do you realize that nothing was in vain? Every tear you shed washed away a layer of illusion. Every betrayal you experienced taught you discernment. Every abandonment you faced showed you that you are your own home. Every heartbreak you felt prepared you not to create unrealistic expectations again. And now, on the other side of all this pain, you're becoming someone unshakable. Someone who no longer gets lost in people. Someone who no longer loses themselves in relationships. Someone who no longer empties themselves for causes that aren't their own. This is true rebirth. It's not about becoming a different person. It's about becoming the most authentic version of who you've always been beneath all the masks you were forced to wear. In the next few blocks, I'm going to show you exactly how to use this newfound strength, how to channel this recovered energy, and how to build a life that honors everything you've survived. There comes a point in every chosen one's journey when the question changes. In the beginning, the question is, why is this happening to me? Then it becomes, when will this end? But there comes a point when the question transforms into, what do I do now with everything I've learned? And you're exactly at that point now. You've already understood the process. You've already recognized the signs. You've already accepted the changes. Now comes the most important part, the conscious reconstruction of your life. But let me be clear about one thing. Reconstruction doesn't mean going back to what it was before. It doesn't mean recovering what was lost. It means creating something completely new from scratch. It means using the rubble of what collapsed as the foundation for what you're going to build now. And here's what nobody prepares you for in this phase. It's scarier than destruction, because in destruction you had no choice. Things simply happened. People left. Situations crumbled. You just reacted, survived, resisted. But in reconstruction, you have to actively choose. And choose with responsibility. Choosing requires awareness. Choosing means you can no longer blame anyone for the outcome. So the first thing you need to do now is consciously decide who you want to be from now on. Not who people expect you to be, not who you think you should be, but who you genuinely want to become, now that you know your own capacity for overcoming challenges. Do you want to be someone who trusts easily again, or someone who trusts selectively, but deeply? Do you want to be someone who opens doors for everyone, or someone who protects their space and only allows entry based on compatible frequency? Do you want to be someone who gives infinite chances, or someone who understands that a second chance is already generosity? There is no right answer. There is the answer that resonates with who you are now, and whatever your choice, it has to come from a place of power, not fear. Because there is a huge difference between protecting yourself because you are afraid of getting hurt again and protecting yourself because you respect your energy too much to waste it on someone who doesn't deserve it. Fear makes you avoid, power makes you choose. And you've suffered too much to live in fear now. Now comes the practical part. How do you rebuild a life after everything falls apart? Let me give you some tangible steps. First, redefine your priorities. What truly matters to you right now? Not what society says should matter, not what your family expects to matter, but what makes your heart beat faster, what gives you peace, what gives you purpose. Write it down, make it conscious, because everything you build from now on has to be aligned with these priorities, or you'll get lost again. Second, establish non-negotiable boundaries. What behaviors will you no longer accept from anyone? What situations will you no longer put yourself in? What patterns will you no longer repeat? Define this clearly. And when someone tests these boundaries, and you know they will, you maintain your stance, without long explanations, without justifying yourself. just stand by them. Third, reconnect with what brings you life. For a long time, you lived on autopilot. You woke up, fulfilled obligations, and went to sleep. But when was the last time you did something just because it brought you joy? When was the last time you allowed yourself to be unproductive and simply exist? When was the last time you laughed until your stomach hurt? Start reclaiming those moments, small at first, but consistent. Fourth, stop trying to fit into spaces that weren't made for you. I know it hurts not to belong. I know the instinct is to try to adapt. But forcing yourself to fit in costs you your authenticity. And authenticity is all that's true to you right now. So stop molding yourself. Start looking for spaces that welcome you as you are, not as they want you to be. Fifth, use your pain as fuel, not as your identity. Everything you've lived through has taught you valuable things. It has given you strength that people who live ordinary lives will never have. It has given you a depth that cannot be learned in books. But be careful not to make your pain your personality. You are much more than your scars. You are also your victories, your resilience, your ability to be reborn. But there's something crucial I need to tell you about purpose. Many people think purpose is something grand, something that will change the world, something that will make you famous or recognized, and sometimes it is. But most of the time, purpose is something much simpler and much deeper. Purpose is using what you've learned to help someone who's going through what you've already been through. Purpose is being the person you needed when you were at rock bottom. Purpose is preventing someone from getting lost the way you almost got lost. Purpose is transforming your pain into a bridge so that others can cross faster than you did. And perhaps, just perhaps, that's the reason for everything you've been through. So that you could be here now, reading this, acknowledging your journey, and preparing to help the next chosen one who is entering the phase you are leaving. Because the chosen ones are not chosen to be happy alone. They are chosen to pave the way, to light the way, to prove that it is possible to survive the unbearable and still return to truly living. So tell me, are you ready to take this on? Are you ready to transform all this pain into power? Are you ready to stop being a victim and become victorious? Because the universe is waiting for your answer. And your answer doesn't come in words. It comes in actions. So here we are, at the end of this journey, which is actually just the beginning of another. And I need to ask you something before I finish. Do you feel the difference between who you were when you started listening to this and who you are now, a few minutes later? I'm not talking about a magical, instantaneous transformation. I'm talking about an awakening, a click, a moment when everything you've lived through starts to make sense in a way it didn't before. Because information that resonates isn't just information, it's confirmation, it's validation, it's the universe telling you, I see you, I know what you've been through, and nothing was in vain. Let me tell you something you need to remember deeply. You were never weak, not for a second. Not even when you broke down, not even when you wanted to give up, not even when you couldn't get out of bed. Because enduring what you endured requires a strength that most people will never need to access. You carried pains that weren't yours. You bore burdens that should have been shared, but you carried them alone. You survived betrayals that would break anyone. You endured losses that seemed impossible to overcome. And yet you're here, breathing, listening, processing, reborn. This is not luck. This is not chance. This is purpose. This is a mission. This is proof that you were chosen for something greater than an ordinary life. And now, what do you do with this, now that you know your tiredness is justified? Now that you understand your behaviors are protective, not flaws. Now that you recognize that everything you've experienced has prepared you for this new phase, you get up, not in the hurried and desperate way of someone running away from pain, but in the conscious and powerful way of someone who understood the lesson and is ready for the next level. You stop apologizing for having changed. You stop trying to go back to being who you were. You stop blaming yourself for no longer having patience with what you once tolerated. Because evolution doesn't apologize. Transformation doesn't go back. Awakening doesn't negotiate with the past. And from now on, you begin to live with intention. Every person you allow into your life, you allow consciously. Every space you occupy, you choose intentionally. Every word you speak with purpose. Because you no longer have energy to waste on what doesn't uplift you. But there's something I need to tell you before you leave here. The path from now on doesn't get easier. It gets different. The trials change form. The tests evolve in level. Because you have evolved. And the universe won't test you on what you've already mastered. It will test you on what you still need to learn. So get ready. Get ready for moments when you'll question whether you've truly changed. Get ready for situations that will try to pull you back into your old ways. Get ready for people who will show up testing your limits. And when that happens, and it will, you remember everything you've heard here. You remember who you are. You remember how much you've already survived. And you maintain your composure. Because the chosen one who awakens does not go back to sleep. There may be moments of tiredness, there may be days of doubt, but the consciousness that has been activated within you will never be extinguished. It is there, even on difficult days, guiding you, protecting you, reminding you of your worth. And here is the ultimate truth, the most important of all. You no longer need to carry the pain of others. You no longer need to be everyone's healer. You no longer need to sacrifice yourself so that others may shine, because your mission was never to fade away. Your mission has always been to shine so brightly that you inspire others to seek their own light. And you can only do that when you're whole, when you're complete, when you're at peace. So take care of yourself now. Protect your energy. Honor your tiredness. Respect your limits. And trust that the universe will sustain the rest. Before I go, I need you to do a few things. First, like this video because this message needs to reach more chosen people who are tired and feel alone. Second, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications because in the next few days I'm going to reveal exactly what happens when you finally release the weight and your energy is completely restored. Third, go to the comments now and share which revelation from this video impacted you the most. Was it understanding that your tiredness isn't weakness? Was it realizing that your behaviors are protective? Was it recognizing that you're entering the release phase? Write it down, because your words might be exactly what another chosen person needs to read today. And fourth, go to the pinned comment right now. There you'll find the link to the 3 spiritual books I mentioned, along with the secret bonuses that have never been revealed here. This material was created specifically for those who are in this transition phase, for those who are leaving pain and entering power. And access is limited because not everyone is ready for these revelations. But you are. So click there and secure yours before it's removed. And lastly, share this video with another chosen person. You know who it is. That person who is exhausted, who is isolating themselves, who has changed and is being judged for it. Send it to them, because sometimes we need to hear from another voice what our own soul is already screaming inside. Now you know. You act this way because your soul is tired of carrying so much pain, but this weariness is not the end. It's the transition. It's the moment before your greatest transformation. It's the sign that you are about to enter the most powerful phase of your life. The universe didn't break you. It refined you. It didn't punish you. It prepared you. It didn't abandon you. It protected you all along, even when you couldn't see it. And now, on the other side of all this, you're becoming exactly who you were born to be. Unwavering, conscious, powerful, and absolutely free. The chosen ones don't wait for permission. They recognize the call and respond. And you just responded. Now the next step is yours, and I already know you're going to take it. Because the chosen ones always rise. They are always reborn. They always win. See you in the next video, where I'll show you exactly how to use all this power that has just been activated within you. Until then, remember, you are not alone. You never have been, and you never will be.